The Lord be with you.
With your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Great crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and addressed them. If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers should laugh at him and say, "This one began to build but did not have the resources to finish." Or what king marching into battle would not first sit down and decide whether with 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king, advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. In the same way, every one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, good morning. Please be seated. And good morning to those of you joining us in the live stream. Think back for a moment. Can you remember your first car? Maybe this is more of a guy thing, and most of us are old enough now. Back in those days, when we could afford to own that first brand new car, financing was not as widely available. So we had to, save and plan and be able to have a down payment, have a job, be able to pay for that car. Even today, you can identify those cars. They're in the grocery store parking lot, like way away from all of the rest of the cars. We really want to keep that pristine. Or maybe there's a sofa. Maybe we have an aunt that has, anybody in your family that has that sofa that still has a plastic covering on it? They wanted to protect that. They always wanted that, and they finally get it, and they put that protective coating over it. But we go through these different phases in our lives, don't we? We get married, we have families. And the first time that infant projectile vomits onto the floor seats of that car, we learn a life lesson. That infant is more important than this car. As we grow older, we learn that car is for transportation. Family is more important. Or the first time that child has that open-face peanut butter and jelly sandwich that they drop onto that sofa. We learn that life lesson. That child is more important than that pristine sofa. It used to be that we could tell the difference. We could know the difference between single people, married people, and married people with children. That older adult bachelor, he always had that spiffy car. He always had the latest gadgets, dressed nicely. And we could tell the people that don't have children, they're always a little bit less patient, a little more self-absorbed. So there's these lessons in life that we learn, and maybe it's a little bit more difficult today. Maybe the waters are a little muddied today. Young couples want to have everything, like all at once. So parents and grandparents may scratch their heads a little bit when they're putting off having children, or they're taking out a second mortgage so that they can have a granite countertop in the kitchen. But they never cook. They never have meals together. So we scratch our heads a little bit. Same token, the young couple may look at the parents and grandparents, and there in the kitchen is that same old kitchen table. Stains and scratches. But we know that table is full of memories, full of family gatherings. more important than having a pristine, brand new dining set. So we learn life lessons in the family. In fact, the church refers to the family sometimes as the school of love. Well, in our gospel today, Jesus says, there's something even higher than family. There's something of a higher priority even than our devotion and our love of our family, and that is the love of God. We are to put God at the center of everything. God is to be the top priority for us. And if we live long enough, most of us will go through some other life lessons. We will end up suffering. Certainly we'll deteriorate physically. We'll have suffering or illness or loss of a loved one. These kinds of life lessons face us with another reality, that there must be something more than this. And without a Christian perspective, suffering just leads to unhappiness. And what is a Christian perspective? A Christian perspective is the cross. Now, the cross is not a tragedy. The cross is a way of God teaching us that even in our sinfulness, there is salvation. Jesus tells us to pick up our cross, to follow him. And when we do, we unite our suffering to Christ. We pick up our cross and carry it along with Christ. We imitate Christ. Then our value, then our life, our suffering takes on a new purpose, a new meaning, a new value. So as we live our lives, as we go through our sufferings, try to keep God at the center of our lives. Try to find joy in carrying our cross, knowing that Jesus not only gave us an example, but he gave us a way to everlasting life. And our way to everlasting life, our way to salvation, is through carrying our own cross through life. So in life, find holiness. In suffering, find holiness. And even in death, find holiness. And be an example and teach others around us that there's something more important than granite countertops. There's even something more important than family, and that is Almighty God. Keep him at the center of your life. Today is the memorial of St. Ignatius of Loyola, who was also a teacher, who taught us detachment from earthly things. Keep God at the center. Don't be attached to earthly things that in any way detract us from that center. He gave us the examen, taught us that throughout your day, take some moments to pause and reflect on how God is acting in your life, how God is present in your life, how you may be failing to carry your cross. Pick it up again. So on this feast day of St. Ignatius, let us all be reminded that the cross is not a tragedy for us. The cross is the way for us to everlasting life.